All right, everyone. So welcome to MAFA elections round three. We're just waiting for the candidates to arrive, and then we'll get started promptly at 6:05 Eastern Time.
Hey.
Hello. Thanks for joining us. So what's going to happen in this interview is you're going to have 5 minutes to do your speech. Then immediately after you're finished with your speech, you'll go into questioning or into Q&A portion of the interview, and JJ will be leading that portion. And then after we've completed with all the questions, your interview will end, and then after that, we'll talk about the next steps.
So just
and so you can start at 6:05. Just take a moment. We'll give you a moment to breathe, prepare yourself, and you can start right at 6:05.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Samara Sarmiento, and I'm running for the position of co-outreach. This past school year, I was the Vice President External of 𝗙𝗵𝘂𝗆 Club at Eastern Michigan. I am about to enter my senior year at the University of Michigan Dearborn studying computer science. But before I transition out of college, I believe my greatest capacity to contribute to my 𝗙𝗵𝘂𝗆 community is now. So the position of co-outreach relies on creating a good foundation of communication between the MAFA orgs and the MAFA families. Having experience being VPE for 𝗙𝗵𝘂𝗆 this past year, there was a few things from the previous co-outreach chair could have done to support me as an external. For example, having bi-weekly to monthly meetings with the outreach chair would have helped me create that good foundation of communication, as well as help to keep everyone up to date within the MAFA sphere. From my experience with this, I hope to become the support that I wish I had. So I plan to implement those video meetings, not only to keep everyone updated, but it's also to give the externals a direct way to communicate and talk freely with the outreach chairs. As the world is in a very uncertain place right now, I think it's important to adapt and navigate through this together. With strong communication and dependency, I hope to play a part in making our virtual transition flow easily. If I'm elected as co-outreach, I plan on creating programs with the MAFA sphere to deepen the relationship between everyone. An idea I had was to possibly create various mentorships programs, which would pair new members to an ate or kuya in their MAFA family or possibly a MAFA alumni. We all know being placed into a MAFA fam can be very intimidating at first, but with this program, the mentors could be able to introduce the new members to the family and hope that they would open up and build a better relationship. These programs will allow MAFA members to step up into a mentor position while also giving new members more support through their MAFA experience. So through MAFA, I've been able to learn a lot about myself and that I'm not alone. I've been able to meet people who have had similar upbringings, which was something I never used to experience. We've also been given the opportunity to keep in touch with our Filipino culture and learn more than what our parents have taught us. This association has been one of the best things that I've been a part of, and my college experience would be very different without it. So if I were on MAFA's executive board, I'd help people learn and experience what this organization has to offer. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your speech, Samara. Now we're going to go into a series of questions and answers derived from the position-specific questions in the application. We are going to allocate a maximum of 15 minutes for this portion of the interview. So first question, communication skills are essential for the outreach position. How do you plan to improve communication among MAFA Executive Board, MAFA representatives, and MAFA families?
So I believe good communication is something you build upon. The more you communicate, the stronger the bond and the easier it is to work together. So I think hosting these weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, however, meetings with MAFA board, MAFA reps, as well as the MAFAM heads would really strengthen the bonds and solve a lot of issues in like a very timely manner.
Awesome. Second question. Not all MAFA family members are outgoing or have the capacity to travel to MAFA events. How would you help MAFA families foster tight bonds virtually?
Okay. So this is like the first part of the mentorship program I was mentioning earlier. So this is where within MAFA families, an ate or kuya could apply to be a mentor within the family, and they could be paired with an incoming MAFA family member so that when everyone starts talking and stuff, like the mentor would be able to introduce this new member to the family, and they would also be able to create a closer bond rather than the new member just meeting a bunch of strangers technically, because it is pretty overwhelming. So.
Awesome. For the third question, some MAFA families are more active than others. Please describe 3 ideas that will increase engagement for all MAFA families.
So my first idea is actually stems off of what my organization does when we have these kind of reveals into families. So we actually have like this we have this family reveal where the new members would be, it's kind of like an event almost, where the new members would be introduced into their families after like filling out the questionnaire. And then from there, like we could like celebrate, like play games and stuff and get to know them like on that day when they're announced. And I think applying that to like all of MAFA when we all reveal within the MAFA families, like who the new members are gonna be, like it could be all on like a really big Zoom call. And then from there, we could go into like breakout sessions where the MAFAM heads could take initiative and like organize the next things that they could do, like if they play games within their family or like if they, I don't know, like talk or watch movies after that, I'm not sure. But I think it gives also like MAFAM heads like another almost job, I guess. I don't know.
I really like those ideas.
Oh wait, sorry, I have 2 more, my bad. So another one would actually to implement monthly Zoom call meetings led by MAFAM heads. And I think this would be an important opportunity. Something that brought my organization closer is like after meetings, we'd actually like do study sessions together. So I think like since we're all college students, like to have these meetings where we could study or we could just like talk or play games within MAFA families would be another way we could bring everyone closer. And my last idea would be to have the MAFA families kind of go against each other in a form of like an Olympics. So they could compete against each other another week separating from Spirit Week. So, because I say like Spirit Week is the most time most families are active. They're talking talking about every day. So I think adding a competition, maybe in a form of like some bracket against other families, or like maybe a representative could join like a virtual game like Jackbox or something, would be another way to get everyone talking.
Awesome. Next question. As a MAFA board officer, you are not limited to the duties of your position. Please describe an innovation or program you would like to implement that is not specifically related to your position.
So my idea was kind of around the idea of PCNs. So whether or not this is going to be something happening this upcoming year, I'll still tell you my idea. But basically, it's to have this program where it kind of is an incentive to inviting non-MAFA people to MAFA events. So like if your school would host a PCN, for me, in my experience, when I go to PCNs, I've noticed like the same faces representing the same schools and then like families. But I think having this like friend referral program would be something of an incentive to bring these like new people to experience all this like culture happening within PCNs. And the program would be like at the end of the year, like who invited the most friends to like these events that are not associated with MAFA and stuff. And I think it'd be a really good thing to like recognize that they're contributing to the community.
That was some really good insight. All right, for the final question, outreach chairs play an important role in networking with all MAFA members and strengthening bonds between them. How will you reach out to MAFA community beyond your obligation to communicate with MAFA representatives, MAFA families, and the executive boards of MAFA member organizations?
Okay, cool. So another idea I had with mentorship programs, instead of it being just in MAFA families, but maybe to extend it to throughout all of MAFA, and that being maybe I could collaborate with the VPE to create some sort of like mentorship program with MAFA alumni. Because I feel like after you graduate and stuff, like I'm sure there's a lot of MAFA alumni who wants to contribute, but like not really sure what exactly in a sense. So I think this mentorship program with MAFA alumni, they would pair with the new members, and then through this they could share some guidance and support throughout college. And then maybe once the MAFA member graduates, they would want to switch the roles to be a mentee to a mentor. They would also continue to share their experiences and knowledge to the new members.
All right. So those are all the questions that we have right now. I'm going to transition over to Cedric, and he's going to tell you about next steps. And yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, JJ. So I just wanted to let you know what the next steps are going to be. So after this interview, we're going to be posting your interview to the YouTube channel, and it's also being live streamed right now. And then once all of the interviews have been completed for all of the candidates for round 3, we're going to be sending out your application and your resume to all of the exec boards for the MAFA sphere. And then voting will commence. And so by July 24th on Friday, you should hear back from us whether or not you've received the position.
Thanks, guys.
Any questions?
No, I think I'm all good, yeah.
Perfect. So feel free to leave the call at any time.
Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we should be back on air again.
Awesome. Welcome back to anybody on the live stream viewing the interviews for round 3. We are just waiting for Jan, who is our next candidate, and then we'll start promptly at 6:35 Eastern. All right, so I'm going to let Jan into the room now. Hi, Jan. Thanks for joining us. So we're gonna let you get started soon, but before we get started, I just want to let you know what's going on. So at 6:35, we'll let you start your speech, and you'll have 5 minutes to give your speech. After you're done with your speech, JJ will continue with the question and answer portion of the interview, and then after you're done with all of the questions, I'll close out the call and I'll give you what the next steps are in terms of your application. Sound
Okay,
good?
sounds good. Thank
So I'll
you.
give you the next 2 minutes. Just breathe, just relax, and then you can start at 6:35. Sound good?
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen.
All right. So, hi everyone. My name is Jan Mangulabnan, and I will be a senior at St. Louis University this upcoming school year, majoring in biomedical engineering and computer science. And I'm running for events coordinator for the 2020-2021 MAFA Executive Board. This past year, I was the Vice President of External Affairs for Filipino Student Association, and my goal was to be more involved with MAFA and make more external connections. In this position, I was able to encourage members of FSA to participate in more MAFA events like Conference Within a Conference, and also host a workshop at Winter Leadership Retreat. Through these events, I was really able to see how MAFA can support our organization's growth, since I was able to ask questions and discuss our board functions to gain perspective from people of other executive boards. In this experience, I feel that we were able to build relationships that gave us many new resources and opportunities, and also the ability to learn from each other and grow our organizations together. At these workshops, I feel that I was also able to build more personal relationships and learn about my own identity during these activities. And in turn, I was able to feel stronger in my role as VPE and who I am as an individual. And however, while I made my organization's external connections a priority, I know that not all member organizations had the resources to attend these events, and not all of them have the same goals to be involved the same way I was. And not being able to prioritize this, I feel that some people miss out on opportunities for their own personal growth. So my goal for this position would be to provide more opportunities for people to benefit from MAFA in addition to big events like leadership retreats and MFAS. I believe that MAFA support can be extended to every member individually. And so considering the roundtables that MAFA already hosts, I think a new opportunity could take the form of workshops once a month, similar to those at leadership retreats and MFAS. I believe that this would make MAFA support more valuable and accessible to everyone who chooses to be a part of it, and the consistency would encourage members to stay active in MAFA throughout the year. I also believe that these workshops would give a lot of flexibility for MAFA, since they can take the form of a lecture, activity, guest speaker, or combination of any of those, and can also be changed to best support educating members in any topic. And this would not necessarily have to be tied to our shared Filipino-American identity. For example, I know that there is an increased amount of social media activism for various causes calling for equal rights. And I think it would be interesting to host a workshop in order to help others learn how to be a better ally. I know there are many calls to educate ourselves and reflect, but actually putting it into practice can be difficult. And I believe that MAFA is in a position to be a consistent and active voice for these types of causes and help our members grow in how they support them. I also believe that in order to continue to be effective and engaging, it would be important to collect feedback from MAFA members and find out what they are interested in learning about to continue to be valuable to our members. With the COVID-19 pandemic, as we continue to follow social distancing and quarantine regulations, I believe that MAFA will be able to learn and refine how to engage members online. And this would be able to be continued after the threat of COVID subsides and continue to engage member organizations if they can't attend events. I understand that there's a lot of work required to plan these events, and this would require a large time commitment. This past year, I was able to improve my time management by balancing an 18 credit hour course load, work, research, and FSA e-board. And this upcoming school year, I will only be taking 14 to 15 credit hours, working less hours, and still participating in research, but I will not be holding any other executive board positions. I've also learned from previous board experiences and academic group projects that it is very important to communicate openly and honestly, even when something does not go to plan. I think this is really important because it is the best way to learn how to support each other and achieve our common goals. Ultimately, MAFA serves their members, and I've been able to grow because of the opportunities that MAFA has given me, and I want to be able to provide the same for others in the future. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your speech, Jan.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go into a series of questions and answers derived from the position-specific questions in the application. We are going to allocate a maximum of 15 minutes for this portion of the interview. So for the first question, what is your experience with coordinating events? And what skills in particular do you bring to the position of events coordinator?
So in being VPE for 𝗙𝗵𝗱𝘆 FSA this past year, I was also in charge of planning road trips for my organization for all of the external events. And so some of the things I did to plan for them was like collect information from the people who are planning attend and making sure they register properly, as well as creating the itinerary and making sure to communicate all that information to everyone. And I also made sure, and this is one of the things that I found to be really important, was to like include my e-board in the planning process so they knew that I was getting everything done at the right time and making sure to reach out to the right people. And also because I did this, I feel that it was able to help during the actual event, because then everyone knew what to look for, and when something didn't go to plan, then it was a lot easier to know what to expect. And then also I feel that I was able to make decisions more quickly and be able to clear up any confusion in case anyone was confused about where to go or where to be.
Awesome. Next question. How would you address a conflict or communication issue between the MAFA Executive Board and the planning committees of MFAS, Summer LR, or Winter LR?
So I think that whenever there is a conflict or issue, the most important thing to do is identify the root cause and why something is wrong in the first place. And so I would want to do that by discussing with both entities separately, just to really dig deeper into like what is going wrong, especially in terms of communication. I think it's important to figure out what expectations were not clear enough and what caused the discrepancy and what was going on. And then after being able to discuss with both, then I would want to discuss with both separately, then I would want to discuss both of them together in order to clarify all of these expectations and make sure everyone's on the same page moving forward to prevent that from happening again.
Mm-hmm. For the third question, considering your other time commitments, how will you manage your time to fulfill the duties of the MAFA events coordinator position?
So the way that I approach my time management is that I use two different tools. I maintain my Google Calendar as well as a bullet journal. And so I have all of my meetings and everywhere that I need to be recorded on my Google Calendar. And so whenever I schedule anything, I make sure that nothing overlaps as best as I can. And then my bullet journal is used to kind of break down the tasks that I have for school and like other small things I need to do, like sending emails and things like that. And then I'm able to plan what days I want to focus on different things. And then also I know like last minute, I also make sure that my bullet journal, when I look at a different week, I have enough flexibility to move things around if I need to, if something changes. And so I prioritize what I want to get done on each day. And as long as I get that done, then I'm in a good standing for the rest of the week. And so in terms of events coordinator, the events would also be recorded on my Google Calendar. And those tasks would also be split up in my bullet journal the same way as like my assignments and things for school.
Awesome. And for the last question, in your opinion, what are the 3 most essential traits of a successful MAFA events coordinator? And do you believe that you exhibit these traits?
So I think that a MAFA events coordinator should be organized, flexible, and be able to communicate well. And I think this is important. I think it's important to stay organized because there is a lot of planning that goes into events, and it's important to keep track of every detail that you figure out and make sure you know what you still need to figure out in the time getting to the event. And this helps to set up the event for success. But even at the actual event, things do tend to go wrong and things don't always go to plan, which is why I think it's also important to stay flexible, to either find a new solution or be able to figure out how to best approach the situation and make sure the event still runs smoothly. And then as for communication, when it comes to being events coordinator, I think that in this position, you are always working with someone else, and you would be a part of MAFA board, and so you would have to make sure to communicate with your team so they know where you're at as well. And so during the planning and during the event, there's a lot of people to help, and I think it's important that they know where you need help with, just so you know that you're not alone in that. And I get, in terms of how I believe that I exhibit these traits, I just, based on how I kind of approach my time management and keeping myself organized and also being able to maintain that flexibility for my own schedule, I believe that this would translate in the position of events coordinator and being able to maintain those. And then also from my previous experience working on an board and being able to communicate well with them to help the events that I ran previously run smoothly, I would hope to continue to do so as events coordinator.
All right, so those are all the questions that we have. Thank you for your answers, Jen. Now I'm going to transition over to Cedric, and he will conclude the interview and discuss next steps for you.
Thanks, JJ. So Jan, I'm sure you're wondering what the next steps are after this interview. So the next step is that after this interview is done, we're going to upload your interview to the YouTube page. And then after we've completed all the interviews of the other candidates, we're going to be sending your application and your resume out to the executive boards of the MAFA sphere, and then voting will commence. Once voting is completed, we will let you know by July 24th, so that's a Friday, whether or not you got the position. Any questions?
No, I think that's everything. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jan. You can feel free to leave the call whenever.
Thank you so much.
All right, and for everyone watching the stream and watching later on, come back to the stream at 8:30 p.m. CST, 9:30 p.m. EST for our final interview. Thank you very much for everyone watching.